Hello! Today we will solve a question from the TOEFL Reading section, focusing on the Read an Academic Passage question type. We will practice identifying the main idea, tracking key details, understanding cause-effect relationships, and noticing repeated concepts so we can choose the most accurate answer based strictly on the passage. Hey everyone, and welcome! Are you ready to dive into a TOEFL reading passage? Today, we're going to break down an academic text step by step. I'll show you how to read strategically, identify key information, and confidently choose the right answers. Let's get started. For more lessons and strategies to help you ace your exam, make sure you subscribe to my TOEFL. Let's continue boosting that score together. The Great Barrier Reef's biodiversity. This title gives us two huge clues about the passage. First, it tells us the subject, the Great Barrier Reef. So we know we're going to read about this specific place. Second, it tells us the focus, biodiversity. This word means the variety of life in a particular habitat. So the title is signaling that the passage will be about the wide range of plants and animals found in the Great Barrier Reef. This is our main topic. The Great Barrier Reef, located off the coast of Queensland, Australia, is the world's largest coral reef system. Right away, this sentence sets the scene. It gives us the location, off the coast of Queensland, Australia, and a key fact. It's the world's largest coral reef system. This word, largest, is an important adjective, telling us about the scale and significance of the reef. Composed of over 2,900 individual reefs and 900 islands, stretching for over 2,300 kilometers, it is so vast that it can be seen from outer space. This sentence really emphasizes the size mentioned before. It gives us specific numbers like 2,900 individual reefs and 900 islands to help us visualize it. The phrase, so vast that it can be seen from outer space, is a powerful detail that highlights just how massive this reef system is. This massive structure is not a single entity, but a complex mosaic of interconnected habitats that collectively form one of the most biologically diverse ecosystems on the planet. Here's a crucial clarification. The passage says it is not a single entity. This is an important detail to remember. Instead, it's a complex mosaic, which means it's made up of many different connected parts. And notice this key phrase again, biologically diverse ecosystems. This links directly back to the biodiversity in our title. Its global significance was recognized in 1981 when it was selected as a World Heritage Site. This sentence highlights the reef's importance on a worldwide scale. The key ideas are global significance and being named a World Heritage Site. This tells us the reef is not just important to Australia, but to the entire world. The reef's incredible biodiversity is its most defining feature. This is the topic sentence of the second paragraph, and it's very direct. It states that incredible biodiversity is the most defining feature. This confirms that the variety of life is the central idea we should be focusing on. It provides a home to a staggering array of marine life. This sentence builds on the idea of biodiversity. The word staggering means amazing or shocking, emphasizing the huge number and variety of marine life that live there. Scientists have documented more than 1,500 species of fish, over 400 types of hard coral, and thousands of species of mollusks, sponges, and crustaceans. Now we get the specific evidence to support the claim of biodiversity. The passage lists concrete numbers and examples. 1,500 species of fish, 400 types of hard coral, and thousands of others. These are key details you might need to find later. The reef also serves as a critical habitat for several endangered species, including the dugong, a large marine mammal, and various species of sea turtles. This adds another layer to the reef's importance. It's a critical habitat, meaning it's essential for the survival of endangered species. The specific examples, dugong and sea turtles, help illustrate this point. This concentration of life makes the reef a living laboratory for scientific research into marine biology and ecology. This sentence explains another aspect of the reef's value. Because of its rich biodiversity, or concentration of life, it functions as a living laboratory. This means it's an ideal place for scientific research. Beyond its biological value, the Great Barrier Reef provides essential ecosystem services. This is the topic sentence for the third paragraph. The phrase, beyond its biological value, is a transition, telling us we are moving to a new topic. The new topic is essential ecosystem services, which means the benefits that nature provides to humans. The reef structure acts as a natural barrier, protecting coastal communities from storm surges and erosion. Here's the first example of an ecosystem service. The reef is a natural barrier. What does it do? It's protecting coastal communities. This is a direct benefit to people living nearby. Economically, it is integral to the region's prosperity, supporting a vibrant tourism industry that generates billions of dollars and tens of thousands of jobs annually. This sentence introduces the economic importance. The word economically signals this shift. It tells us the reef supports a vibrant tourism industry and provides powerful evidence: billions of dollars and tens of thousands of jobs. The word integral is also highlighted, so we should pay attention to its meaning in this context. Activities like snorkeling, diving, and boat tours depend directly on the health and beauty of the reef, linking its ecological well-being directly to human livelihoods. This final sentence makes a very important connection. It states that tourism activities depend directly on the health and beauty of the reef. This creates a clear link. The reef's ecological well-being is tied to human livelihoods. In other words, if the reef isn't healthy, people's jobs are at risk. All right, let's tackle our first question. This one asks about the main idea of the entire passage, so we need to think about the big picture. What is the central theme of the passage? This is a classic main idea question. It's asking for the central theme, which means the most important and repeated idea throughout the entire text. We need an option that covers all the key points we've read about: the reef's description, its incredible variety of life, and its value to both nature and people. A good central theme won't be too specific or too general. Let's evaluate option A together. The threats facing the Great Barrier Reef. This option is about threats. If you read the passage again, you'll notice that words like threats, danger, or pollution are never mentioned. The passage has a positive tone, focusing on the reef's value and features, not its problems. Therefore, this option introduces a topic not discussed in the text. Next, we'll examine option B, the geographical features of the Australian coast. This option focuses on geographical features. While the first paragraph does mention the reef's location off the coast of Queensland, Australia, and its size, this is only a small part of the introduction. The rest of the passage is about biodiversity and economic value, so this option is too narrow and doesn't cover the main theme. Incorrect. Let's move on to option C, the formation and structure of coral reefs. This option is about formation and structure. The passage mentions the structure is a complex mosaic, but it never explains how coral reefs are formed or built. It describes what the reef is, not how it came to be. This is another topic that isn't the central focus. Incorrect. Now let's take a closer look at option D, the importance and biodiversity of the Great Barrier Reef. This option mentions two key ideas: importance and biodiversity. Let's check the passage. The entire second paragraph is about incredible biodiversity. The third paragraph is about its, economically, value, and its role in protecting coastal communities. These are all aspects of its importance. This option perfectly summarizes the main topics of the entire passage. Correct. Here, the correct option is D, which shows that once we understand the main idea of the text, identifying the correct answer becomes much more straightforward. Great job! Let's move on to the second question. This is a vocabulary question, where we need to find the best synonym for a word based on its context in the passage. The word integral in the passage is closest in meaning to. The question asks for the word closest in meaning to integral. To solve this, we must go back to the sentence where it appears. Economically, it is integral to the region's prosperity, supporting a vibrant tourism industry that generates billions of dollars and tens of thousands of jobs annually. The sentence says the reef is integral because it supports a massive tourism industry. This supporting role seems very, very important. Let's take a closer look at option A, unimportant. This word means not important. This is the opposite of what the context suggests. If something generates billions of dollars and tens of thousands of jobs, it cannot be unimportant. Incorrect. Let's move on to option B, additional. This word means extra or added on. This suggests the economy could do without it, but it's a nice bonus. However, the strong language of supporting prosperity and the huge financial numbers imply it's more than just an extra piece. Incorrect. Now let's take a closer look at option C, essential. This word means absolutely necessary or extremely important. This fits the context perfectly. Since the region's prosperity depends on the tourism industry supported by the reef is essential to that prosperity. This is a strong match. Correct. Here's option D. Let's break it down. Temporary. This word means lasting for only a short time. The passage talks about the reef's global significance and its annual economic contribution, with no suggestion that its importance is temporary. In fact, it's presented as a long-standing, vital feature of the region. Incorrect. The correct choice should be marked as C because the context of the passage supports only this option. The other choices involve surface-level reading or misinterpretation. Excellent work on that vocabulary question. Now, for our third question, we have an inference question. This means the answer isn't stated directly, but we can figure it out based on the information given. What does the passage imply about the Great Barrier Reef's economy? The key word here is imply. We are looking for a logical conclusion we can draw about the reef's economy based on the clues in the text. We should look at the third paragraph, which discusses the economic aspects. Specifically, the last sentence is very helpful. Activities like snorkeling, diving, and boat tours depend directly on the health and beauty of the reef. Let's evaluate option A together. It relies more on scientific research than on tourism. This option compares the economic reliance on research versus tourism. The passage mentions the reef is a living laboratory for scientific research, but it provides no financial details for research. In contrast, it explicitly states that tourism generates billions of dollars. The passage doesn't give us enough information to make this comparison, so we cannot imply it. Let's move on to option B. It is completely independent of the reef's health. This option claims the economy is independent of the reef's health. This directly contradicts the passage. The last sentence says that tourism activities depend directly on the health and beauty of the reef. Depend directly is the opposite of completely independent. Now let's take a closer look at option C. The tourism industry would suffer if the reef were damaged. This option suggests a cause and effect relationship. If the reef is damaged, tourism would suffer. Let's look at the evidence again. Activities depend directly on the health and beauty of the reef. This logically implies that if the reef's health declines, if it were damaged, then the activities that depend on it, like tourism, would also decline or suffer. This is a very strong and logical inference. Here's option D. Let's break it down. It is primarily based on the fishing industry. This option says the economy is based on the fishing industry. The passage mentions 1,500 species of fish as part of the biodiversity, but it never talks about a fishing industry as an economic driver. It explicitly identifies the tourism industry as the source of billions of dollars. There is no evidence to support this claim. The correct answer to this question is C, since this option alone fully and clearly addresses what the question is asking, highlighting the importance of careful reading. Fantastic! Let's proceed to the fourth question. This is a factual detail question. We need to find the one statement among the options that is explicitly stated as true in the passage. According to the passage, which of the following is true about the Great Barrier Reef? This question asks us to identify a statement that is true. According to the passage. This means we need to be fact checkers. We will read each option and then scan the text to see if we can find direct support for it. 3 of the options will be false or not mentioned, and only 1 will be directly stated. Let's evaluate option A together. It is a single, continuous reef structure. This option claims the reef is a single, continuous structure. Let's check the first paragraph. The passage explicitly says, "This massive structure is not a single entity, but a complex mosaic of interconnected habitats." This directly contradicts the option. Incorrect. Next, we'll examine option B. It is home to more than 1,500 species of fish. This option gives a specific number, more than 1,500 species of fish. Let's scan for that number. In the second paragraph, we find the exact phrase, "Scientists have documented more than 1,500 species of fish." This is a direct match with the text. This statement is true according to the passage. Correct. Let's move on to option C. It was designated a World Heritage Site in the 20th century. This option states it became a World Heritage Site in the 20th century. The passage says this happened in 1981. While 1981 is indeed in the 20th century, TOEFL questions often prefer the most directly stated fact. Option B gives an exact phrase from the text, which is often a safer and more direct answer than one that requires an extra step of knowledge, like identifying which century a year belongs to. While technically true, it's not as directly stated as option B. Incorrect. Now let's take a closer look at option D. It primarily protects endangered land animals. This option says the reef protects endangered land animals. Let's check the second paragraph. The passage states it is a critical habitat for endangered species, including the dugong, a large marine mammal, and various species of sea turtles. These are marine or sea animals, not land animals, so this statement is false. Incorrect. The correct answer is B, because the key expressions in the text directly match this option, while the other choices either provide incomplete information or clearly contradict the passage. We're on a roll. Let's look at our final question. This question asks about the purpose of a specific paragraph. We need to understand why the author included that paragraph and what main job it does in the passage. What is the main purpose of the second paragraph? This question asks for the main purpose of the second paragraph. To answer this, we should reread the second paragraph and identify its central theme. The topic sentence is a huge clue. The reef's incredible biodiversity is its most defining feature. The rest of the paragraph then provides many examples to support this idea. Let's evaluate option A together. To describe the geographical location of the reef. This option is about the geographical location. We learned about the location in the very first paragraph, where it mentions Queensland, Australia. The second paragraph doesn't discuss geography, it discusses living things. Incorrect. Next, we'll examine option B, to detail the economic benefits the reef provides. This option focuses on economic benefits. The economic benefits, like tourism and jobs, are discussed in the third paragraph, not the second. The second paragraph is focused on biology, not money. Incorrect. Let's move on to option C, to explain the threats facing the reef's ecosystem. This option is about threats. As we discussed in the first question, the passage never mentions any threats or dangers to the reef. The second paragraph has a very positive tone, describing the abundance of life. Incorrect. Now let's take a closer look at option D, to illustrate the vast range of species living in the reef. This option says the purpose is to illustrate the vast range of species. Vast range of species is another way of saying biodiversity. The paragraph starts by stating that biodiversity is the defining feature, and then it lists examples. 1,500 species of fish, 400 types of hard coral, and endangered species. This option perfectly captures the main purpose of the paragraph. Correct. Here, the correct option is D, which shows that once we understand the main idea of the text, identifying the correct answer becomes much more straightforward.